Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Ken Pape Show for Wheeling University Athletics. I'm Zach Ziegler, currently joined by our head women's rugby coach, Ken Pape. It's the start of our first of three series meeting the 2024 Wheeling University women's rugby players. And Ken, talk about this team overall. You have a lot of good recruits coming in. We're going to break it down position by position over the next couple of weeks. Talk about this team and how they're shaping up.
Well, hey, Zach, before we get into that, we're going to retitle the show Between Two Props. I mean, that's number one. Number two, you had a really good idea, and I think it's really important for our viewers to know, first of all, what are the positions in rugby? So I went ahead and I printed some stuff out, and I just want to share with you. In rugby, you have something called the loose head and the tight head prop. Along with the hooker, who's another position we'll talk about in a minute, the loose head and tight head props make up what is known as the front row, which refers to their rugby position in the scrum. To be successful, both props must be extremely strong in the neck, shoulders, and upper body. Their legs also have to be extremely strong, and they should relish head-to-head competition. Outside of the props, we've got hooker, okay? Lining up in the scrum between the two props, the hooker is one of the forward's key decision makers. She will be coordinating the timing at the scrum and is also responsible for winning possession in the scrummage by hooking the ball back through the prop's legs. At the line-out, she is also responsible for throwing the ball in and must be able to accurately hit the line-out jumper. That's how we do a throw-in in rugby. In open play, the hooker plays a similar role to the prop, securing possession at the rucks and mauls and taking short crash passes. And then finally, we have what we call the locks. The second row forwards, also known as locks, are the engine room of the scrum, or what I like to call the dynamic duo. They're powerful players with excellent scrummaging technique and pinpoint timing. If they bind too loose to each other, the scrum and the pack will lose power. In open play, the second row's duties have evolved from being just support players at rucks and mauls to actual ball carriers. And here on our Wheeling rugby team, our locks are dynamic ball carriers.
And today we're going to talk about the three different groups. We're going to look at the props, the hookers, and the locks. So we're going to start with our props group. Talk about this group and these girls that are going to compete with you this year.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is something that I'm really excited about because myself in rugby, I started off as a fullback, and then as I got older and larger, I started moving closer and closer to the pack. I ended up at fly half, 8-man, flanker, prop, and then hooker. So props and hookers have a special place in my heart. And I got to tell you, we've got some dynamic props coming in this year. And it's going to be a heck of a competition to see who's going to make the first 15. We're starting off with Linda Dang. A funny story on Linda is I met Linda at Ruggerfest 2 years ago. I was actually trying to advise her dad that she should be talking to the Dartmouth coach because she's quite smart. She wants to be a dentist. She's really good on the pitch. In my opinion, one of the top 3 hookers in high school rugby today. Let's see if we're going to try to help her translate that into a really solid college career. She runs like a tank. She has got great footwork. Her defense is next level. And all the times I've watched her play, I've never seen her lose a contact battle. I'm excited to see her grow. Linda's going to be transitioning from previously being a hooker at the high school level to potentially being a prop here at the collegiate level. She's also going to be a backup hooker, but Linda's an exciting player. Next player up, Joelle Taylor. There's a reason why they call her Monster. She's an absolute beast who commands the contact area on attack and defense. She's really worked hard on her fitness since the first time I saw her play, which makes her an absolute monster. She has been able to dominate scrums at the high school level with a bit of shape work. I think we'll be able to continue that dominance at the collegiate level. Next up, Abigail Zubietta Robinson, a.k.a. Arizona. I had the pleasure of coaching this hard worker 2 years ago at another university. She's the kind of player who will come in and compete right away for a spot. She has quick feet and a strong scrum shape. It's going to make her a force to be reckoned with on the squad. Waverly Bernard. I coached Wave last year and saw her work really, really hard in several JV games. And working herself into a good college rugby shape. She's been working really hard this offseason, and I expect she's going to be pushing hard for her spot on the roster. She also has the ability to play hooker in a pinch. You tell Wave where to go and what to do, and she's just going to do it for you. She's an exciting player, and I'm hoping that we get a chance to see her the fruits of her hard labor over the summer. Last but not least, in the prop section, we've got Lucy Bryant. She's a bit personal for me, I'll be honest with you, Zach. She was my daughter's teammate in high school. They became friends, and her family and my family became quite close. Her family's amazing. Love them to death. They burn together. Now, Zach, when I say they burn together, I sent the summer workouts, and mom and dad are doing the workouts with Lucy, which is great. Families that burn together learn together. You know what I mean? Lucy's skill has gotten way better every game I've seen her. She's always working hard on it. Better is never enough for this hard player. She has a very high rugby IQ, and I expect big things from her. I expect her to come in and compete right away to make that opening day roster. And that's the end of our props. And I got to say, those players are going to be pushing each other to see who's going to be the first two in that group.
And one common theme we said, they're all hard workers as you've gone through that list, a bunch of hard workers who've really put in the time. Talk about that group and how that hard work's going to pay off for them.
Well, when you're talking about, the prop position, it's not a position that you have to sub. You have to make subs. The prop position, if you have to play 80 minutes as a prop, the coach has kind of failed you, I feel. I feel like props, you get into a danger zone at the 40 to 60 minute mark, somewhere in there. And that's when you really got to turn to your third and fourth prop and have them come in. And you can't have a drop off. With this group of women, they've worked so hard this offseason and the previous seasons, I don't think we're going to see a drop-off. I think prop 1 to prop 6, we've got the same skill level. So teams are going to be really struggling when they face us because they're used to having one dominant prop, one okay prop, and then when the third prop comes in, it's kind of like the floodgates open, and when the fourth prop comes in, it's, now we're going with uncontested scrums. I don't think that's going to be the case with this group. I think this group is going to put the other team back on their heels and driving them backwards. We like to call it the scrum on wheels, right? Because we're going to hit them so hard, it's going to look like they're on skates. So this hard work, I think, is going to pay off for them.
Currently watching Between Two Props with Ken Pape, head Wheeling University women's rugby coach. And Ken, now we're moving on to the hookers. Talk a little bit about this group and what they bring to the table.
Well, listen, I've coached both of these women before. They are absolute dynamic players. They each bring a little something different to the table. We're going to start off with Kayla Castilla. New York born and raised. Who doesn't love having a New Yorker on their team? They've got that, attitude that nobody quite understands. You've got to be from the area when you hear them talk. You think they're being nasty to you, but they're just really trying to love on you, aren't they? Kayla's one of those players. She comes in, she works hard. I coached her last year. I've seen her make massive improvements throughout the year. She comes in with so much passion, and again, the theme has been hard work. Being a hooker is not easy work. Especially she was so dominant in the high school ranks. She comes to college, and now you're playing all of the best hookers in the country. It's really hard to continue to be dominant, and she found a way to put extra work in. She's fearless. She hits just as hard with the ball as she does without it, and she's going to be battling for some starting minutes this year. That brings us over to Dakota Burgess. Wow. Dakota Burgess. 2 years ago, as a freshman, she was the MVP of her team. She has incredible defense, is extremely hard to tackle, and she has an impressive rugby IQ. And when we talk about rugby IQ, we're talking about understanding the flow of the game, and it's not football, right? Coach doesn't call a play in from the sideline. That's not how it works. Rugby is a continuity game with continuous motion, and Dakota understands that, and she understands the flows of the game. Her work rate is extremely impressive. Here's the other crazy part. It doesn't matter if she just got destroyed. She gets up. She's got a smile on her face. She's picking her teams up. She always has a kind word for her teammates. And these are characteristics that make her a natural leader on and off the field. I think this is going to be a big breakout year for Dakota. I'm really excited to see where she goes.
And both these girls you mentioned, very tough, both hit hard, both get up when they get hit and are ready to go back in. Talk about their toughness and what that brings to that prop position.
I have seen Kayla get hit and kind of look at the girl like, are you crazy? Did you just hit me? And pop back up and just lay the next person out. It was incredible. She does not accept loss at the gain line. She wants to win that gain line, and a gain line in rugby is just like the line of scrimmage in football. You don't want to be hit behind the gain line. You don't want to get, you don't want the other team to break over the gain line. And Kayla's one of those people that fights for the gain line. Really excited to watch her play. And when she has the ball in her hand, you never know where she's going. Even she jukes me out on the sideline. I'm looking left, she's going right. I don't know what she's doing. She's crazy. I love it. Dakota Burgess, one of the hardest, not the fastest runner in the world, not the slowest either. She's got some pace on her, but the thing that she has is agility. She can move left to right better than anyone I've seen at that position. She's extremely, extremely diligent with her preparation. You put the ball in her hand, and she is one of the hardest people in the world to tackle. I've seen her get hit by people my size, and she kind of bounces back, and somehow she doesn't go to the ground, and she shakes it off, shimmies, and then she's continuing on. People are grabbing her from behind, and her jersey's 20 feet behind her. It's incredible. Dakota's a really exciting player to watch. She's always thinking when she's got the ball in her hand, she knows when she's got to give a little offload. She also knows when she can put a little fake on and keep the ball. So another exciting player to keep an eye on.
And the final group we're going into today are the Locks. Talk about this group and some of the skills they have.
The Locks are the biggest, strongest players on the team, no doubt. There's a reason why they're called the engine room. The reason why they're called the dynamic duo. We have 3 Locks that we're going to talk about. With these 3 players, you have 2 on the field at a time. If they're weak or they're not pushing hard, the scrum is just weak, and it gets pushed back, and then we'll be on skates. And the same thing with on attack. When they've got the ball in their hand, they've got to have go forward. They've got to hit that gain line hard and fast and drive the other team back. Push back the gain line to create offside opportunities so we can speed the ball out wide and we can go around the outside and score. Just like Eminem said, around the outside, around the outside. But the first block we're going to talk about today is Nasaya Berkeley, a.k.a. Nye. You want to talk about transitions. Now, here's somebody who completely transformed her body through fitness, okay? Nye came in really strong, really fast, hard worker, and, at the level she was playing at, she comes in and she wants to compete. She wants to compete right away. She got on a fitness journey. She really transitioned herself. She's been working, and we talk about working really hard. That's a common thread because that's something that we do here at Wheeling, and the players that we're bringing in, we want the hard workers. And to be honest with you, I've seen her recently. The fitness work has really paid off. She looks great. Her muscular structure is really strong. I'm excited to see where she goes with this. And she's another one. You put that ball in her hand, she's going to destroy somebody. And I've seen people hit her and go flying. Okay. I've also seen her look like she's going to hit somebody. They go to hit her and she does a little shimmy and they're over here. I've seen her fake with the ball in a sevens tournament last year. She faked like she was going to pass it. Everybody, including myself, thought that she gave it and she didn't. She kept it right up the sideline. She looked great. So the hard ball carrying is extremely important. And she's going to draw a lot of attention to herself, too. Teams are going to game plan to stop the big runners, right? She's going to steam throw people on a regular basis. Nia's the kind of player who has stepped up time after time, no matter what position we've asked her to do, whether it be lock or 8 or backs, wing, whatever. This year we're going to be looking at Nia more in that lock, prop 8 area, right? We're not quite sure yet. We want to see how preseason goes. But again, she's somebody that, you tell her where to go, she's just going to go. She just loves playing the game. And, I can't wait to see the power that she's going to be generating from this newfound fitness work that she's been doing. Next up, Jill Stewart. She is truly the queen bee of this team. Jill's the kind of player you want on a team because she is so passionate about the culture of the team. She really leads the way on culture building with our team. She makes sure that everybody feels welcome. She commands respect on and off the field. She's a hard runner, okay? She's a lock who's part of the dynamic duo / engine room, all right? Our scrums are amazing because of the work rate that she puts into it. And Jill's another one. She went on a fitness journey 2 years ago. She came to me. She said, Coach, I'm going to make some changes during the off season over the summer. This was last year. She came in and she had an engine that I hadn't seen before. She gained some musculature to her. She's felt strong. She said she felt like the differences in her game were due to the fitness. She's one of the best Army crawlers I've ever seen. She gets the ball on the ground. She thinks she can just crawl forever. She's incredible. But these last 2 years, she's really been on a fitness journey. She told me this year it's going to be next level. I think this is going to be her best version ever, which I'm really excited to see. I want to see what this new fitness work has done for her. We've kind of changed up the way we do fitness, but she has actually hired a trainer to work with her. So she's doing the work with the trainer, and she's doing the fitness mobility work that our team is working on right now. Really excited about Jill. That takes us to our team captain, Miss Emma Tai. She's the creator of Hand Hugs and Emergy. Okay, she always has a positive attitude, commands attention on the field. She's strong in the weight room, which has translated to a very impressive work rate. She never stops when she's on the field. She's so exciting to watch on attack, but even more exciting is her defense. I've seen her just absolutely obliterate people, and it looks like the player's never going to play again. She hits really hard, really confident, has a really good tackle rate, something in the 90 percentile range. Teams will actually game plan against her. I've talked to teams that we've faced, and they said, listen, we want to put the ball on the opposite side of the field from Emma. We don't really want her smashing us. She works really hard on rugby IQ. There's been plenty of times where she's come and sit in the film room with me. We've analyzed some game film together. We've talked about it. She's always asking the right questions. And I think this might be her best season as well. She's just one of those quiet leaders that's now coming into her own as a leader. And I was really proud to announce her as our team captain this year. So she will be the team captain.
So looking at these locks, all very strong girls. They sound more almost like an offensive line unit to me in the scrum. Talk about their strength and kind of how they're going to build the base of this team.
Well, listen, to every scrum, you need to have a good engine room, right? You could have average props and hookers, but if you don't have above average locks, it all falls apart. The strength that these three players have is really going to dictate, how well we're going to do in scrums. In the way we attack, they're a big part of our attack system. I don't want to give too much away. I know people are watching the show and going to be game planning for us, but the way we attack, these three players are a really big part of what we do, and they're going to draw a lot of attention. So we're going to probably spread them out and make people have to decide. Pick your poison. You want Emma? You want Jill? You want Jill? You want Nye? You're going to have to make that decision, and you're going to have to live with your mistake because picking any of them is a bad choice. So their strengths across the board, as far as their rugby IQs, their ball carrying ability, their tackle rate, their ruck defense, things like that. It's going to be great for us, and I'm really excited to see what we're able to do. Obviously, I'm really excited. Everything I've said so far, I say I'm really excited because I'm really excited.
And finally, as we continue this series, talk a little bit about who we're going to be seeing next week on the show.
So next week on the show, we'll see flankers. We'll see the eights. We'll also see our inside and outside centers. I'll give you a quick preview. They're fast, and they're strong.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks for joining us. Can't wait to meet the rest of the team.
I'm excited. Thanks for watching another episode. And with the newly named, it used to be the Ken Pape Show, and now we're going to call it Between Two Props. Thanks for watching our first edition of Between Two Props.
For Wheeling University Athletics, I'm Zach Ziegler.